Chosen one, this is it. You've reached the moment the storms were preparing you for, the moment your spirit has whispered about in the quiet hours, the moment when God no longer hides what he's been building in silence. This isn't a coincidence. This is confirmation. You've passed through fire, and not just any fire, but the kind that strips away everything you thought you needed to reveal what was truly within you. You survived the silence. You endured the waiting. You held on to a promise even when you had no evidence it was still coming. And now, God is saying, you passed. You passed the test of trust. You passed the test of identity. You passed the test of surrender. It wasn't just about whether you could handle the blessing. It was about whether the blessing could handle you. And now that the fire has refined you, now that the silence has matured you, now that the pressure has molded you, you're ready. This isn't about going back to who you were. That version of you is gone. You're not rebuilding the old. You're stepping into something entirely new, a new rhythm, a new level of authority, a new clarity in who you are and who your God is. You are no longer defined by what you've lost. You're now defined by what you've survived. And you survived not by chance, but by divine design. Heaven has recorded your endurance. Angels have witnessed your tears. The Spirit has whispered strength into you while the world stayed silent. And now, the gates are opening. The old has been stripped. The weights have been lifted. The path is being cleared. It's time to walk. Not as the version of you who questioned everything, but as the version who knows. This moment was always meant for you. Chosen one, you've been refined. You are no longer the person who doubted, no longer the one who begged for proof, no longer the soul tangled in fear and hesitation, because you've endured, and that endurance has produced something eternal in you. You didn't just survive, you were transformed. The fire didn't destroy you, it burned off everything that wasn't truly you. The confusion you once felt, gone. The fear that used to paralyze you, broken. The weight of trying to prove yourself, lifted. You've been set free. And now, you carry something rare, a spirit that's been tested like gold, a heart that's been crushed but still chose to love, a mind that's been under attack but still chose to trust. God saw all of it. Not one tear was wasted, not one silent prayer went unheard. Even when it felt like heaven was quiet, God was writing the next chapter. And now, the page is turning. You are not stepping into a season. You are stepping into a dimension, a whole new reality where your spirit leads. This is not about small improvements. This is about divine reconstruction. God is rebuilding you from the ground up. New peace, new vision, new power, new territory. Your surroundings are about to change because your spirit has shifted so dramatically that the old atmosphere can no longer hold you. The places that once felt comfortable will now feel too small. The conversations that once distracted you will now feel meaningless. The people who once misunderstood you will now stand in awe of what's rising from you. Don't shrink. You were never meant to fit into their boxes. You were meant to lead, to awaken, to shift every space you walk into with the presence you carry. And now, you will. Because heaven has released the seal. The waiting is over. The oil is pouring. The light is breaking through. And it's your name God is calling because you passed. And now, it's your time. Chosen one. This shift isn't coming. It's already happening. You're not waiting for transformation. You're standing in the middle of it. Right now, your energy is being recalibrated. Your thoughts are becoming clearer. Your purpose is rising to the surface. The confusion you felt before was the chaos of the old falling away. But what's emerging now is a version of you that has never existed before. Because you've never had this kind of clarity, this kind of strength, this kind of divine alignment. You are being reborn, not in body, but in identity, in spirit, in authority. You're stepping into a dimension where faith is no longer theory, it's your default setting, where peace is no longer a concept, it's your atmosphere, where purpose is no longer a question, it's your path. You're not just elevated, you're becoming untouchable to what used to break you. Old fears can't follow you here. Old wounds can't control you here. Old cycles can't repeat here. Because you've outgrown them. You didn't just level up, you broke through. And now the things that once chased you will begin to fear the power you carry. Don't be surprised when people start treating you differently. Don't be surprised when favor follows you without explanation. Don't be surprised when things that were once hard suddenly flow. That's what happens when heaven confirms a shift. You're walking in divine momentum now. Doors that were once locked are opening before you knock. Answers are arriving before you ask. Opportunities are recognizing you without introduction. Why? Because you're not the seeker anymore. You've become the answer. You carry a vibration that the earth has been groaning for. That's why you couldn't fit in. That's why the path was lonely. That's why the attacks were relentless. Because the enemy sensed what was hidden in you. But it's not hidden anymore. God is revealing you, unveiling you, positioning you, because you passed and now you're the revelation. Chosen one, the unveiling has begun. Heaven isn't hiding you anymore. The cocoon has broken. The covering has been lifted. The time of concealment is over. You were hidden not because you were unworthy, but because you were still becoming. Now you are becoming visible to the right eyes, the right rooms, the right realms. You're not being introduced. You're being revealed, not as someone who needs validation, but as someone who carries divine authority. You've been faithful in silence. You've remained obedient in obscurity. You've worshiped in the wilderness. And now God is saying, come forth, like Lazarus from the tomb, like Joseph from the prison, like David from the field. This is your moment of emergence. You won't need to announce yourself. The glory on your life will do it for you. People will wonder where you came from. They'll question how you rose so fast. They'll ask what changed. And the answer is simple. You passed the test of patience, the test of character, the test of identity. And because of that, God is trusting you with visibility. But this visibility isn't about fame. It's about impact. It's about being seen by the people your light was meant to awaken. You don't need the crowd. You need alignment. And now you're in alignment with your divine assignment. So don't shrink. Don't question it. Don't delay. What you carry is rare. What you survived was brutal. And what you're about to do is historic. This is what the waiting was for. This is what the weeping was for. This is what the warfare was for. To get you here, to this very moment, where God says, reveal it all. Step fully into who I made you to be. Because the world is not waiting for another imitation. It's waiting for you. Chosen one, your life is about to accelerate. You've walked through long seasons where everything felt delayed, where the doors stayed shut, where the prayers echoed back in silence, where the breakthrough seemed just out of reach. But what you didn't see was how God was building behind the scenes, how he was aligning the unseen, how he was preparing everything in perfect timing. And now, that time has arrived. This isn't just a new chapter, it's a divine launch. You will go from overlooked to overflowing, from waiting to walking in promise, from testing to testimony, in what feels like an instant. The speed will shock you. The clarity will overwhelm you. The beauty of what's coming will bring you to tears. Because it's not random. It's not luck. It's a reward. You didn't just stumble into this. You were faithful into this. You were broken into this. You were chosen into this. And now God is releasing the flow of opportunity, the flow of favor, the flow of fulfillment. You're about to watch things fall into place without force, because divine alignment never needs to be pushed. It pulls you forward. This is what happens when heaven greenlights your next level. But hear this, you won't just experience external elevation, you will feel an internal peace like never before, a stillness that silences every old fear, a confidence that isn't loud, but unshakable, a knowing that you are exactly where God wants you to be. People may say it happened overnight, but you'll know the truth. You'll know the nights you cried, the days you stayed silent, the moments you almost walked away. You'll remember and you'll praise. Because this is the moment where it all begins to make sense. God is not just answering your prayers, he's rewarding your perseverance. And what's coming next? It's not just for you. It's to prove that faithfulness still works, that obedience still matters, that God always remembers who didn't quit. Chosen one, your transformation is unstoppable. What's happening in your life now is more than a breakthrough. It's a complete rebirth. You're not returning to an old version of yourself with a few upgrades. You're stepping into a version of you that has never existed before. Your mind is being renewed. Your spirit is being elevated. Your vision is being expanded. This is a full system reset, divinely orchestrated. The way you think is changing. The way you speak is changing. The way you show up in the world is changing. You're not just leveling up, you're ascending. You're beginning to access a higher realm of consciousness, where fear has no authority, where faith leads every step, where clarity becomes your compass. You may feel disoriented at times. You may even feel disconnected from your old life. That's because your old frequency no longer matches your new identity. Relationships will shift. Environments will no longer feel like home. And some people won't understand the version of you that's emerging. But don't go back. You were not made to stay familiar. You were made to evolve. You were made to break generational cycles, to shatter mental ceilings, to birth movements through your obedience. This shift is not about your comfort, it's about your calling. And yes, it may stretch you, but it will also strengthen you, and it will unlock gifts you didn't even know you had. Your presence is becoming sharper, your discernment stronger, your spirit more anchored than ever. Because now you know, you are not who you used to be. You're not the one who apologizes for your light. You're not the one who shrinks to make others comfortable. You're not the one who doubts their worth. You're the one God trusted with transformation. You're the one who survived what was sent to silence you. You're the one rising from the ashes with authority in your voice. This is your evolution, and there's no going back. Chosen one, this is your moment to reign. You're not just stepping into blessing, you're stepping into divine rulership. You've been crowned through the fire, anointed in the silence, strengthened in the struggle. And now, heaven is handing you the keys. Keys to purpose, keys to alignment, keys to breakthrough. What once resisted you will now recognize you. What once ignored you will now pursue you. What once confused you will now be clear as crystal. Because the wait is over, the test is complete, the glory is falling. God is saying, no more delay, no more denial, no more hiding. It's time for you to own your authority. Not in arrogance, but in conviction. Not to dominate, but to liberate. You've been sent as a carrier of light, a disruptor of darkness, a living testimony of what God can do with a surrendered soul. So rise, speak, move, build, create. Do it with the fire in your bones and the love of heaven in your heart. Because the world needs what you carry. This is not just your reward. This is your release. A release into territories you didn't ask for but were always meant to walk in. A release into rooms your name has already been whispered in. A release into favor that your faith has unlocked. You are no longer becoming. You are. You are the one. The chosen, the proven, the refined, the unleashed. So step boldly, with your head high and your spirit open. Everything you've walked through, everything you've overcome, everything you've believed for has led to this. The moment God reveals you to the world. And nothing, absolutely nothing, will ever be the same again.